Now I got it on. Gee whiz, I'm so sorry, kids. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm still just waking up today, and I've been sharing with you the sacred Mary J. and all kinds of good energy, babies. But you ain't been hearing it because I ain't been near it. All of a sudden, I looked over to my signal bar, and it says, no, I ain't showing. I says, yes, you are, man. What's the matter? And I realized I hadn't turned on my mixer. Oh, I'm the fixer, ain't I, babies? Thanks for hanging on and hanging in here, not going away, and staying with me while we get it underway here into the light of day. Oh, yes, wouldn't you say? In that coyote sort of way. On the Coyote Medicine Show, where else but the ever-loving, sweethearted center of your universal heart, the Hazy Radio Network. So let's get a little restart here. What we got to do is get it clear, baby. So here, let me share with you, dear. I got some real warm, hot coffee in my mug, and I want to share a little of that warmth with you right now, okay? So here we go. And by the way, salute to your noble heart for remaining here even when it didn't want to, man. Oh, how many times, eh? But here we are today, man, and the sun's coming up. Ooh, we're going to fix this mother trucker like they've never seen before. Salute to you, don't you know? Ah. And clink, clink, clink all the way around, too. Babies, remember this universal DJ is supported your way, babies. You know, the same way I support you, we share and share alike and ride the same motorbike, you know, and fly the highways of life together and share the sacred herb, too, man. You know what we're going to do right now, baby. You know, expand you just a little more. So you need the buzz, cuz. You need to soften up a bit inside because you're just feeling a bit too rigid to take this ride right now, man. You know, got to be flowing with me when we're driving this motor machine down the highway of life. You got to be like moving with me and flowing with me, and I got to be flowing with you in the motorbike too. See, it all goes together. It's a single wave. It's that dance we talked about yesterday that's always at play here each and every day, but especially when you're riding this motorbike track, hey? Oh, baby, we love you so. So does Mary Jane, don't you know? That's the real Rocky Mountain High, helping you take off and fly. Oh, yeah, you got that guy. Grandpa Mary Jane himself. Yes, indeedy. See, now do you feel the release of that? Letting go of the tension, the fear that goes with it. See, now you can expand and love a little bit, dear. Because Mary Jane is here, you know. She's the mother, the lover that takes you right to her chest and says, baby, baby, you're the best. I'll never let you go. I'll always be here with you no matter where you flow or how you do it or where you be. Always will your mother be inside of you because you are me. A replicated love in the baby children of the universal heart called human or humane or monstrously goodly, colorful beings that are dancing and romancing and loving and just mean love machines, I tell you. That's what Mama say each and every day. And she wants you to know, babies, no matter how bad it's gotten here, no matter how bad it looks, no matter how much you're dealing with a bunch of thugs and crooks in this reality, trying to take over with such fatality, and make fear and war rule forever. Oh my goodness, golly, gee whiz. I mean, you know, nobody's that divided away anymore, wouldn't you say? And what we need to do is just like that little meme I put up on Facebook this morning said to do, you know. Same thing we do when our computers go ski-wampus, man. You just unplug the rascals, take away their power for a while. And then when you reboot this thing, boy, it comes up a whole new machine. It's ready to rock. Now, that holds true for just about anything computer-controlled these days, including your automobile. Sometimes you have to restart the computer and that to get it to work right, because they're so damn automated these days. I got a little heater here. It gets sick after you run it about 3 months or so straight on. I mean, off and on, that kind of thing. But then it gets sick and doesn't want to go, so I have to unplug it for about 15, 20 minutes, let it lose all the old programming. Now, I'll plug that sucker back in, baby. I don't care if it's 20 below outside. I'm warm in here, baby. Spaceship Love got a good little heater, and I don't have to build a fire because the fire is built inside of that little thing over there electronically, magically. Through the technology, man, that we have to reboot every now and then. You know, everything we've done here shares a little imperfection, doesn't it? Ooh, but seeing through the imperfection is how we get it clear, dear, you see. So, out here in society, this reality, with kings and queens and presidents and premiers and monstrous reptilian human beings trying to rule over us and turn us all into little objects of hate and nothing but suffering, mean, painful son of a gun. It's just so bad we have to go numb inside and do anything the monster tells us to. Oh, man. You really want to live like that? You really want this Queen of Sheba to arise and take off everybody's heads because she's just feeling ornery that day? I mean, come on, babies. We can live some other way now, can't we? See, this computer has really gone ski-wampus here. This video game of life, I mean, shit, it is effed up like nobody's business, eh? So time to unplug the mother trucker and get a reboot, man. Maybe we're tired of this game, don't want to play anymore, man. Maybe it's that day already. Maybe we got to the highest levels and there is no more. But let's unplug it and plug it back in and see what happens, shall we? Let's give her a reboot, man. And let's see if we can bring up the true reality, because it sure has gotten us far away from it. You can't hardly see it or hear it on the screen anymore, man. The movie's dead, It's out of its head. It's gone the insane way, hasn't it? Yeah. Well, by being so insane and so blatant about it, they're pretty much begging. It's just like a naughty child. That's why they call them the Illuminati. They're naughty children, man. And they're begging us, all their little figureheads, that is. We know who the real powers are behind them. Screw you and your mother truck, too. With love, of course, man. See, and in love, there is no remorse. There's just the letting go. That's how we get on. That's how we reboot this medicine show. But in the physicality of this reality, we got to give a boot to those that carry such fatality, such fear in their hearts, such empty numbness that they can kill with impunity, or think they do. The older you get, the more it catches up to you. I don't care how case hardened or how programmed you are and how well operated through the Goonies are with you. It just doesn't matter, The older you get, it starts to wear off. It starts to catch up to you, no matter what you've done. Anything like that, man. And, you're living with those beings that you've offed. They never go away. Life is forever, you see. And all you've done is add to the army of love on that side, which tremendously influences this side. And ultimately, when we reboot, well, there aren't sides anymore. It's a together thing. And it's the end of the old hate machine. We've lived in a river of darkness forever. We know how to do it. We've been completely contained and controlled by the darkness in a way back when past. They don't tell you about, of course. And we've been booted in the ass by it a whole bunch of times. But the more we get downed by it, the more we get hooked into it, the more we see beyond it. And in this day and age, it is no more. See, it's a fiction. Long as it can get you to fear, long as it can get you to react here, well, then you're in it. And it's going to come clear and do its thing. But, babies, we don't need it, see? We can undo it right now. We can reboot. And we don't have to wait around for some special day or some special moment when the UFOs all come into play or somebody to rescue us that way. That was done so long ago. It's old and musty and on the shelf. We got to dust it off and see the reboot. See, that's what we reboot to. The original life coming through. And we no longer live in the warped illusion that this thing has become, that we've been living in under the sun. See, the sun and I and you, we all fly together. We're one energy. We're the singular energy of the enlightened life. Pure and simple as can be. And babies, what we got to do here is reboot it, dear. So we can get it on in this loving way. The way of the heart. The way of creation. The way the mother love would have it be this day. This moment in time. Which then refines all the time. Backwards and forwards. And gives it that great unwind. So then everyone is let go. And we've booted the monsters out of here by melting them down right into the heart with the rest of us. See, we don't separate anymore. We don't cast them into hell. We certainly could, and baby, they probably deserve that, but at the same time, why? If that's just an element of us and it's just programmed too, well, screw that, man. Just reboot. And we bring it all together. It's a singular force in each person that lives, including the birdies and the bees and the loving trees they hang out in, etc. You see, there's a singular presence in everything. Even Hillary Clinton, believe it or not. Much as I hate to mention her name again, but talk about skullduggery, and I'm saying no more, man. Just even in that kind of person, can this life be lived? Can this awakening take place? See, it doesn't matter what you've done, how many bodies you've left behind you, how many excuses you've got for it, too. You just got to see through to this moment of now and realize, and unplug yourself from that old shit. And how do you do that? Well, I propose we take a day off. The time will come naturally to you, in the 3D, man. It'll come naturally to you if you stay tuned into your heart. But there's a day, a time, a moment, which is right now, to tell you the truth, where we just do unplug. You see, inside we're already unplugged to a certain extent. We're not so attached to that life anymore. We watch it, we live in it, but we're not really a part of it. We just go through the motions. We're really love in motion, and we know that. You see, so we're kind of like living in no man's land between the two worlds, which is the center of the sun, which is every person's land. It's where everything's begun. It's where we landed when we first came here, the center of everything. And that's where we still are. We've never left it. We just projected ourselves out through some warped sunbeams into this reality. But recovery is coming back to the center of all that, don't you see? That's where everything unites and there is no division. You see? So it's a major revision, a reboot. And we just got to slow down enough to allow ourselves to be a part of that. To allow ourselves to be the center of that. The nuclei from which the flowers of life blossom in all directions, you see. It stands right there at the center of the divided worlds we call duality. The living and dying, the dying and living. The two realms of life and death. You could tell them apart. Well, you sure could. But see, now they're not apart at all. Now they're together, a singular new energy. In the reboot of life, as we each realize that centering place inside of our soft, sweet little hide, where we take this ride, this beautiful flight, and get it just right, and live it day after day. Now listen, see, so this is how we pull the rug out from under all of that nastiness, all of that Nazi darkness that we see happening around us, and no longer surrender our heart to the fear of it, and get clear of it entirely. The whole idea of government, let alone the authoritarian dickheads that run it, and they could be male or female. They're still them same kind of heads, baby. Why do you think they always have to put up a great big phallus somewhere to brag about it? They got one at the Vatican. They got one in D.C. They got one in Babylon, I'm sure. I mean, they got them everywhere, don't you know? And great big old phalluses sticking up in the air saying, we are the big ones. Well, for certain you have been, baby. You're just like Lee Van Cleef. You're really good at playing the nasty character. But thank God you're not like that in real life, eh? Reboot's coming, babies, because we're underway. So that's what you do. Unplug today. Don't go to work. Don't follow the flow. Don't eat eggs for breakfast. At least not today. Anyway, whatever, man. Change the whole routine. Change the whole pattern now. Unplug from it. Then you'll see the programming dissolving away. You'll be amazed at how programmed you are as you begin to unplug and the old machine starts to boot down so it can boot up. You see? You're going to go through some past moments, in other words, and release the tension from them, which releases the tension from the present moment. And you're going to get yourself out in nature, one way or another. Instead of going to work, you're going the other way. And don't do this in big bunches, just one at a time, man. If you're drawn together in little groups beyond that, so let it be. But don't plan anything, just do this yourself. It's a massive movement of the heart. It's a moment of awakening that we've been waiting for forever. And it'll spread like wildfire if you just take your time to disconnect and unplug from the reality and allow this reboot to come into being. And unravel yourself from the past at last. Enough of that bullshit has been holding us back. So, it's been like a heavy weight on us. And we felt responsible for every bit of murderous behavior in this reality as a person. That's a tremendous burden to place on yourself. And really it had no place inside of it. It was a misperception. But it was the only way we could slow things down enough here to keep us from blowing ourselves entirely all to hell and never being back again. Just dumping life overboard, man. So we gave ourselves a huge burden, which now becomes the blessing. You know, the heaviness of it, the sadness, the sorrow. So we're really having a day of mourning, but it's a day of joy. It's a day of releasing the mourning that we've been going through and allowing the morning sunlight to bring up that sunlight surprise inside of all of us, the reboot of the eternities, the reboot of time. And there'll no longer be a 3D because that's just a part of the extensions here through which we live. You know, and this dissolves away all feeling of separation. It's like the other day when we did a pipe ceremony over at Joyful Journey for the Inner Vision Conference to begin things there. We opened up the sky. There's a huge rainbow around the sun, huge. And it's been growing ever since and swallowing up this reality, bringing us back to the center being of our presence at the center of the sun, the bright and enlightened one. The Mother Earth, you betcha, and all of her children, which are Mother Earth too, every one of us. Males and females. We're not genderized like that. We still have gender in the sense that we're male and female. But beyond that, the feelings are the same. We're unified. As we reboot, as we take ourselves alone, in massive numbers, but alone, out to these little special spots in nature that we're called to. It might be your nearby city park. I kind of doubt it, but it might be. Or it might be that little place over the rainbow that only you know about and other people ain't discovered yet. Might be some magic little place like that. Wherever it is, you feel it in your heart already. And that's where you go. It's realignment of the whole medicine show. And it's the only way. A revolution is not going to work any other way. You can't fight this. Fight is what it wants. Fight is how it gets its feelings. That's where it gets its jollies. War. And we've had enough of that. We don't want no more. We've been through the worst of it already, you know, several times over. Many times over, really. Enough of the stupid-ass fatality. See, as we reboot, what do we reboot into? A life where there's no birth and death. Just our place of being at the center of all things. And complete contentment in all that. And a shining radiance in everything. You think the sun is going to burn you up, blow you up, melt you down? The fire is the illusion. Born of atomic conflict. See, have you ever looked at flame? In the old campfire of love? It's not a real thing. Yet somehow we bring it into being. But it doesn't touch what it's burning, the flame. It always an inch or two above it where the flame began. Yet the wood, or whatever you're burning there, does disintegrate back to basic elements. Right before your very eyes, the fire. And you feel the heat, the warmth of it. That transition. Breaking it down to subnuclear elements. Making ashes of the past. From lives that were lived there and now are all dried out and withered away so we can be burned. Right? Well, what is it to burn? That's to change. And the flame is seen outside of us the same as it is in the sun. See, the sun is the enlightened one. Yes, I'm talking about the sun in the sky and the sun inside too. They're the same. But it's the enlightened one. It's the direct light from which the mother love erupts into creation. That's your concept of male and female right there, and why we've chosen to express it, and beautifully so, in the way we do here. See, now it's coming clear, isn't it? So give yourself time to unwind. Take a little blankie with you or something like that. Get yourself some sun if you can without being embarrassed about it, you know, but give yourself every opportunity to be exposed to the past and let go of it at last. Let the sun come right, not through you, but into you. Absorb it, soak it in. That's where you begin. If you get some magic waters of life going on with that too, boy, The power's beyond comprehension. And it only takes a few souls doing this to bring about the reboot. Because our brothers and sisters are here cheering for us inside of their hearts. They're so antagonized by what they've been through and so burdened by it. They beg for a release into the blessing. Even though they can't understand it right now, man. Babies, we got the ability. One person has changed the flow of humanity many times over. And one person and several persons are doing it again right now. One person in all persons, really. But a few waking up to that fact, a few million more right behind them, don't you know? We close the door on the past and the slavery that goes with it. And say we're not living that way anymore. We will not be dead. We will only be alive. And I'm taking holiday until I find that life inside of me and thrive. And I see the glow in everything living, and I know it's all completed now. So I'll get myself off onto nature. If I have to ride my pony into the wilderness, I will. Or borrow another one. Make sure you do so courteously. Have respect. Don't you dare trespass without permission or borrow somebody's shit without asking them. I mean, just go with the flow, but be courteous and kind about it, don't you know? Be faultless in it, and no one can stop it. You know, the man won't know what to do with it. People will just be abandoning ship right and left, and that's what is hip. We knock the props right out from underneath them. They have no one to rule anymore. And if we have to, we'll just step off planet. If we have to for just a wee bit, and then come back and show them where it really is, huh? There are brothers and sisters, too. We're not letting go of anyone this time. We're all coming back to life, but this is how we do it. We come unplugged into reality we've been living in. Just screw all that. We take our time, we take our holiday, our day off, which becomes another day off more than likely, and so forth, you know. It'll change everything. And the routine is over with. There's your clue. If you're going through any kind of routine, unplug from that. That's where you begin. And babies, ask for the sweet spirit of Mary J. to be there for you. And she will be. You don't have to necessarily smoke pot. It might be a big illegal thing where you are. Don't give them any excuses to mess with you. The man, I mean. Just go the flow of your heart. They won't even see it. And pretty soon they'll be, and they won't be after you anymore anyway, you know. I mean, we're rebooting the whole thing, babies, if you just come unplugged for a while. Magic everywhere. Each human being has the power of the universe within them. All of it. That's why it's so crazy to struggle in the other direction and be such insane noids about it, you know. Real adenoids, painful ones, you know. Or is that hemorrhoids? Well, same thing, right? One's at one end and one's at the other, but they're all the same painful little thing. And when they excrete the wrong hormone, oh my God, insanity comes into being. See, that's what we got to stop, the corruption inside of ourselves, the heaviness, you know, the weight and the slavery that serves that weight, you know, makes it even stronger. We don't want to do that any longer. Let go of the routine, man. Don't be a part of the machine, whatever form that takes for you. Now, I'm just advocating the basic path by saying, you know, follow your heart, get out in nature, and come undone. Well, of course. But, you know, maybe there's other ways of doing that you're being guided to. Be creative about this. Go with the flow. Be conscious in your heart, don't you know? That's the place of being where everything happens. That's the real revolution, and one that cannot be fought with weaponry. You have no fear of death. Death becomes you and brings life back to you. Hell, I'm living through it right now, just like you are. This whole of humanity is. It's a transition far heavier than death, and far lighter, too. And every bit as significant. It's a complete reboot of the whole reality, man. That's the only revolution that works. It's the only path that'll serve us. Just learn to rock and roll with it. Go with the flow of it. Maybe you got to go to work for one other reason. Maybe there's some kind of moral obligation to the human heart that you got to stay plugged in that way, but you can be unplugged even as you're doing it. You can do it from a whole different space. You can do it because you love doing it now. Because you understand that you're in service to humanity and you cannot be dispensed with at this moment in that position in the 3D. And that'll love you right out of it. And it won't be so essential anymore. The essentiality, to tell you the truth, the essential part of it's right there inside of you. Each person integral here. However the living comes to them. Staying in the flow of the heart. See, that's the change. Is to understand what that flow is, to feel it, and to live it. No matter which other way you might be drawn. So, we're going to keep our basic services and functions till they're no longer needed. Because we don't want people to starve to death, etc. See, there is a divine intelligence beyond this whole thing, or behind it, I should say. And that makes it within it. It's the divine intelligence of the angels guiding and directing the human heart in the way it already knows to be. See, they're amplifiers. They help us see our own empowerment as persons and as the larger person living in all of reality, too. Babies, don't be blue. Be red, white, and blue. Be gorgeous like the sunrise. Be green and purple, too. Be every color of the rainbow and be all of them together in this creation and feel it. And allow yourself to feel it. It's the only way. At least as I can see. Maybe there's some other way, but don't you even think in terms of weaponry or fight. These are beings that are inhabiting the greatest sickness there ever was, and we've got to help them relieve themselves as a part of our own human heart. No matter what else they might be created out of. Because I got to tell you, a lot of your political leaders are just clones. A lot of your rock stars in these days, and movie stars and so forth. Public person. Oftentimes they're just cloned beings. That's why they can't function very well outside of a scripted reality. The teleprompter shuts off. They stutter. And they don't know what the F to say anymore, you see. There's your evidence, but the way you really know it, that they're clones, is they're lifeless. They got very little radiance around them. Very little. And they speak in a robotic way if you pay attention. See? But guess what? Even in a clone, there's humanity. It's what it's made of. But baby, there's enlightenment too. See, it won't matter so much. And you won't be able to tell the genuine from the clone anymore because they're united. In a singular thought, a singular heart presence that's thinking through it and being the thinking creation that it is, see? That's the only way thought creates, in the hands of the heart. In the warmth that it allows to pass through it, the realization of the rainbow of love coming from the sunshine inside. That's why on Mother Earth we do right. We are the rays of bright sunlight emoting from her heart into the creation around us. We're the very vessels of love, the temple of the heart. Meant to be feeling, not numb and programmed. Meant to know the real heart with which we're dealing. By going through a whole bunch of bullshit that said otherwise. How else can you see past illusion if you're not deceived for a while and brought into it, That's how you get out of it. You see it. You don't be it anymore. You can't be a part of a deception when you realize you're the deceiver too and you've only been deceiving yourself. Into believing what they program into you and living that way because that's the program, wouldn't you say? It's an amazing experience we've gone through here to realize such things in such a negative and polarized way. Goodness golly. It's amazing we made it through, babies. But we did, and we do, and we are right now in this handheld moment of love. If one heart gets it, every heart's got it, babies. That's why I'm advocating what I do. If you got it, then I do too. See, maybe it's all up to you. Maybe you're the one. We're all the one. As one realizes that the one in everyone does too. That's the reboot. It takes some unplugging to get there, man. A little switching off too, And you may just have to turn it all down. Say, I'm no longer living on that side of town, nor in that way will I play. Takes a little resolution in this moment of now. But that's how you get on with the Wowzer Wednesday, the day that changed everything. The moment in time when it says, okay, enough already. Let's get this thing underway. Screw all the injuries with which we play. Let them go right now. I don't care how wounded you are, how great of advantage you've been taken of. Man, look at these power bongers we're talking about. They're taking extreme advantage of. They're just little pieces in a puzzle of a grander play, and they're pushed around by powers beyond themselves from the very day they begin that path. From the very day. You see, nothing here is what it looks like when you start to see it for real. That's truth. Coming forward. That's the deal. That's what we reboot into. Living, loving truth. That these words can only begin to describe. And this flow can only indicate, don't you know? The rest of it, well, that's the Coyote Medicine Show. Getting in the flow and doing it right. Because now is the time when the hearts of humanity do unite.
Ladies and gentlemen, the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment.